Ryan's Midlife Crisis Journal, day 67, I think. So, I have switched it up. I am now doing a before bed instead of when wake up journal entry, and this is about 11:10 at night or so. Um, I was trying to. So, actually, one of my friends from high school, my best friends, actually texted me last night. Um, and besides the fact that I teased the idea that I saw a business that I thought that we should buy together, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we should do midlife crisis business," but didn't, he was kind of half joking, as was I, um, just because that would be quite the undertaking, since we both live like an hour and a half from each other and have families. He it So I was asking him, basically, the topic obviously midlife crisis came up, and his dad died like 2 months ago, maybe three. Um, so he's obviously had a lot more happening in his life, whereas my midlife crisis kind of came about gradually and had different perspectives. But um, it was interesting in a few ways. One, it was nice to talk to a friend, but also he was like very appreciative of, like, I gave him like a nice card. Told him that like his dad was like my favorite of my friend's parents, like things like that, and his mom appreciated that. Little things like that was nice, and it's nice to be honest and appreciative with people, whereas that might have been harder to do. My cat's trying to get out. That might have been a more difficult thing to try and do at a younger age. Um, when you get older, when you're in like late 30s, you realize that's, you might as well say important stuff, I guess. The other one is just, it just reminds me of how I feel like I could be motivated by trying to do something with friends. But the other thing that went on was I was trying to think about how I would explain to him. We didn't end up getting there and I'm falling asleep. Um, what's going on with my midlife crisis? And the more I still thought of it is like, yeah, I have like it's like I have a split personality kind of a thing going on, where I have the more ambitious Ryan, the ambitious Ryan that wants to accomplish things versus and like fulfill potential, versus the efficiently lazy Ryan who's pretty good at getting you know doing exactly what's needed without wasting a lot of extra time, but is arguably better equipped to appreciate life. So it's weird because like I normally think that the latter Ryan is more of the more immature one, because that was the one that would kind of just like, that's the persona I had when I was younger. That's how I would be successful in things. I would be like forced, by virtue of school or otherwise, I would be basically forced into stuff, and I would just find ways to get by because I was just like, well, I'm not bought into this anyway, but I'm going to do what I need to do what I want to do. And usually what I wanted to do was just, I was, as long as I had time to myself, I was happy. I didn't even need to have something I was going for. And now the former part of me, more ambitious side, the one that comes up with cool ideas, the one that, I'm kind of cramping my hand here. The one comes up with ideas of things to do, the one that's motivated to try and change things about life, the one that probably has decided to go like get an MBA, start a YouTube channel, things like that. That one just feels like has been kind of pushed to the side, but it's also kind of lashing out. Wow, I had a sunburn earlier, so I got a lot of dead skin from that was coming out of my shower. And it's like a clash between the two, and I feel like the time of day I'm at, I have different ones. So it's like when I wake up in the morning, it's latter me. Even with the journaling thing, in the beginning it was maybe, so I'll say it was ambitious Ryan versus, I don't want to say immature Ryan, but almost it's like the appreciative Ryan. Because there was Ryan that was more able to appreciate just enjoyment in little things you have the opportunity to do, but kind of lazy about it. So ambitious Ryan was doing the journal entries early on and is talking about some of the major challenges of what my life was looking like, being someone who has things well enough, things are going well enough that I couldn't find the motivation to get more, and I didn't want to kind of be in that spot where I just basically had to like say like, oh, all my biggest accomplishments are in the past. But over time, after I feel like I communicated that message, and then wasn't making a ton of progress on changing things, the more of just like appreciative Ryan started to come through a little bit, and that Ryan also doesn't really want to sacrifice an hour or two of sleep to get up early. That Ryan is content to say like, as long as we like play a board game at the end of the day, that was enough entertainment for the day, that sort of a thing. So it's like, but I don't know how quite to define them, because it's not exactly like that. I would also, it's funny, like usually at night, I'm my most productive in afternoon and then at night, and like when I'm trying to get things done. But as a result, I'm also more willing to sacrifice, put off going to bed because I'm trying to get some things done, as opposed to wake up early to get things done. But it's like, yeah, it's like I have a split personality kind of a thing. And those two personalities aren't in harmony, probably because, the more appreciative one was dominating for a while. I actually did get to a point, like before this midlife crisis stuff, like maybe like a year or two ago, I found myself waking up in the morning not minding if it was the weekend or a weekday, because both days were pretty good. So I thought things were pretty good. And then I started getting frustrated with when I wasn't as honest as I'd want to be. Like if someone said something that bothered me, I began to really not, if I didn't stand up for myself fully, I really began to be disappointed in myself for not doing that, for not articulating my thoughts well. Because I think appreciative Ryan doesn't do that well. Appreciative Ryan just kind of rolls with things. It's kind of a staircase wit. Doesn't think of what to say. Sometimes doesn't say anything and just moves on. And can come off as like a nice guy, but isn't necessarily always nice by choice. Is sometimes just nice by virtue of couldn't think of what he really felt, or couldn't put how he really felt in the words. And I think ambitious Ryan is more so taking over there. There were some signs recently, though, that things are getting a little bit better. Not that I'm necessarily coming all the way out of a midlife crisis, but my wife has said that like I'm starting to, a few things have appeared to have changed. So, for example, me admitting when I'm not the nicest, for example, or like admitting that, this big admission that I talked about a few days ago, admitting that I was looking for her for things that male friends should probably be doing, and then she was looking for me at the same time. She was looking at me for things that probably female friends should be doing, things like that. So that's the mindset. Also, I'll throw one other thing out there. It was kind of funny. My friend told me he asked if I had tried marijuana yet, because he says he thinks I would be in the top 5 people that would be fun to smoke with, and I have not at this point. And actually now it's being questioned, since I don't know what's going on ever since this weird Lyme disease thing that I had, whether I'm able to handle alcohol anymore, because it seemed to give myself cold symptoms when I have it, which is weird. So anyway, I think I'm already finding that I'm talking a little bit longer in this. I'd be curious to see if, looking back on this video, if it does seem like I have a very different mindset in this than in the morning. Probably because in the morning my videos were starting to seem rushed, because I just wanted to make it to the 3-minute mark. I didn't have much significant to say anymore. But now I feel like I'm kind of opening up a bit. I still like the idea of trying to organize thoughts, so I still want to keep doing this, but we'll see. Maybe nighttime's the way to go. So I had to do it now late enough, though. Not really. I have a private enough backyard that someone saw me, like a lit up gazebo kind of a thing. Someone spied on me, new journaling in my backyard. That's kind of on them. So anyway, all right, day 67 in the books. A little bit different.